right, this is my scene. I've been pretty busy. I've basically moved into the new shop fully. I have the new forklift from the one you saw in the Vast video. It is a Allison Chamber. I believe it's 86 or something, if anyone knows more about it. I have the manuals that came with it. I just gotta read it. I haven't gotten a chance to yet. And this box here, down here, is my new Everlast 255 EXT Power TIG. We'll talk about that when we get to the updates on the car. So in reorganizing here, I'm gonna be putting out a video on engineering and building this table. I also made a little machinist center, like a home machine shop type deal. And I guess we should just go around the room. This is a Jet 1340 lathe. It accommodates something about 40 inches, has a 13-inch swing. It's Korean built, I believe, and it has a hardened steel bed, hardened gears. It's a gear-driven lathe. Comes with a 3-jaw chuck. It all works. It runs off 220. I've never used this yet, so I'm not sure. And it does do threads, so that's good. So yeah, that's a new addition to the shop. And we have this bad boy, which is my Series 1 Bridgeport. As you can see, I'm rebuilding it. Well, I don't want to call it rebuilding. I want to call it refreshing. So what that means is that I'm changing out all of the gears and the bushings. So I'm going to be making a video set on this. Right now I'm just giving some updates as to pretty much everything I got going on, because I haven't produced a video in a while, because it's what I've been doing. So I have new plastic inserts going in there into the disc. I got new belts. I got new bearings for for everything, basically. Well, there's a few bearings that I'm not changing out, but what I find to be the most critical, based also on advice from smarter people than me, this is pretty much what I'm doing. And I'm also going to be changing out the spindle bearings and also the spindle key, which was bad. So I had to do that anyway. Now, the only reason I'm going into depth in this is because of the fact that when I had my forklift, I was trying to bring in the Bridgeport, and I guess the cylinder collapsed, the main cylinder mass. It collapsed, and it was held on straps on a belt and did that. So I was gonna just change out the housing, but then, you know, when you go down this rabbit hole, it's kind of hard to stop, especially when you find things wrong. For instance, this drawbar I found out was not original to a Bridgeport, and if you look closely, it's bent. So that's bad. Not to mention, there's also supposed to be a washer or a boss down here. So this is a Bridgeport, which I got from H&W Machine. So changing all that out. For the lathe, there's nothing really wrong. Well, there's one thing wrong with it. There's a limit switch in here that controls this to engage and disengage the spindle. It's bad. So if I wanted to do like left-handed threads, I couldn't, because every time I engage it, it sometimes engages and sometimes doesn't. Other than that, I have to build a new supporting T-slot bracket to accommodate my multi-fix tool post. Do I have that? Yeah, I got that in here. I'll show you guys what that looks like. So, nope, that's not it. Yeah, okay, this one's it, because I pulled it out and I got dirty. So, this is my multi-fix. It allows you to basically go from facing off to reducing the diameter of whatever you got in here. So, and you just change the positions. So it's up to 40 positions. So I got to do that. I'm also planning on taking off this compound and pretty much most of the stuff here and redoing it. It came with this drill chuck. It came with some high-speed bits, and it also came with a live center. So there's a bearing in here. It goes in here like so, and you can do whatever you need to do to it. So, but the kit that I got for the multi-fix I actually got straight from Germany. But I'm going to get more into that when I talk about each segment. All right, Bridgeport, it's 3-phase. I have it connected to an American rotary system. So the reason the ladder is here is because I got to get up there to do all that junk. But I'm gonna make a series on rebuilding this, or refreshing. I keep saying rebuilding. So I put in this, and the reason I did this is because 3-phase machines are fairly cheap. Well, they're really cheap. They're really, really cheap. But wiring it can be involved, especially when you start talking about things like a surface grinder, where it might have multiple motors, like a motor for the hydraulics, a motor for the table itself, and a motor for the spindle. So that's why I got this. This is a more upfront cost, but the benefit of it is really, it becomes plug and play for your machine, right? So I could just plug that straight into here like any other thing. This table weighs about 1,300 pounds, and I'm planning on putting my planishing hammer right to it. And this region is going to be where I do all my metal working, basically. So all the chips will be kind of regulated to this area. And if I need to, I'll move this table back that way in case I add a machine or 3. Right? Now, this is a Jamie Jordan edition bead roller. It has the adjustable component to it, well, top and bottom, in case I wanted to do some fancy curves. And in case anyone needs to know what, or doesn't know what bead rolling is basically putting like a dimple in a panel. I'll show you that on the Mustang. A lot of times floors are bead rolled, and things like that. Like this is probably stamped for manufacturing purposes, but if you wanted to remake these panels, these would be considered bead rolled into the sheet metal. All right, so that's what that does. It's powered, so it has the industrial motor. It came with the art kit, and I like this table. The reason I got this bead roller particularly, well, other than the fact that it's just a great brand, Mittler Brothers is a really good brand, is because of the fact that this table allows you to get flat work and not have to worry about 2 hands. Plus the powered aspect. You really need 2 hands when you're bead rolling stuff that especially gets real big. And the 36-inch throat allows you to put panels that are 72 inches big. All right. So that's that. I think I've covered everything going on this side. And I do have a DRO. I don't know if it works yet because the power cord was cut. I got this at an auction. So this is how I got it. But the Bridgeport came with a fixture plate. So I guess it was for consistent work that they kept doing, so they just had that going on. And it also came with a vise. So I gotta check that, see how good everything is. They look like they beat it a little, and yeah. But we'll get all that sorted. And to the car now. I actually put on these panels just for psychological reasons. Honestly, when you sandblast the car, it opens up a whole bunch of holes, and it really takes you a few steps back. So this was a learning curve for me in getting this sandblasted. Everything is just kind of plopped on right now, but I do have a lot of little holes that I have to fix. And those little holes is real thin metal, like all in here, which I thought was good, and all here, see that? And then right here. It's pretty consistently bad on both sides. So my plan for all of this, because this is a real thin area, it's real sensitive. So this is when it gets into like welding practices or welding methods, right? I'm going to TIG weld all of this. It's just a better process for controlling the heat when you get into real thin areas. You can control the heat a lot better, and the weld is not as hard as a MIG weld, right? And it's not as much. You can almost use a file and get the shape back, because I don't want to Bondo these things. I want to actually have metal here. Okay? So all of these places I'm going to redo with TIG welding. And then when it comes down to the subframe, because that is probably going to be next on the agenda when it gets down to that area of getting it all together, I'm going to TIG weld it all up and do the whole car at one time. But for now, I just want to get the subframe in, and then afterwards finish up welding the quarter and finish up fabricating these pieces. And then once all that's done, TIG weld the rest of it, and then start putting the body parts on the car, like, you know, permanently, or at least permanently to the point where I can start wiring up the car, getting the engine in, and all that jazz. I'm winding down to from organizing and basically getting moving, because I really technically have been moving this whole time and building up what I envisioned in my head for about 15 years. This scene right now. All right, so the bead roller is going to be used to remake this panel, because that panel that's under here, I hate it. I hate how it looks, and I did it a while ago, and now I hate it. So I'm going to redo that. I'm also waiting for a couple parts to come in due to COVID and everything. Everything ships in slow, so car stuff is really not on the highest priority of anyone's list. So yeah, waiting a bit on that. Just giving you guys an update as to everything going on, how I've laid out everything, and my new home. Well, away from home. All right. Thanks. Cheers.